father wasn't so hideous. Can't you tell by looking at me?
Devil May Cry, one of the greatest game series ever made, and we have a Devil May Cry anime out of nowhere. This video is not going to be anything to do with the quality of the new anime on Netflix. I'm not going to review it. I've never seen any footage outside of the trailers. I have no idea if it's good or if it's poor. People will enjoy it, I imagine, and other people will probably roll their eyes like me. But this is not a review of the anime, so if you're looking for that, it's not going to be in this video. Instead, what this video is about is more of the philosophy behind multimedia franchises and why they usually don't work all that well. Because you see, when you try to change the medium, when you try to transfer the qualities of something like Devil May Cry as a video game, and you try to translate that into, say, a movie or an animated series, it's one of the most pointless endeavors that you could ever dream of because you're taking the source material, which is, the most amazing, one of the most amazing action games ever created, which is such a unique it's such a unique format. You can't replicate what video games can provide in a movie or TV show. The thing about video games is they're really sort of where all of these forms come together, but primarily the difference is a movie or an anime, you sit down and watch it, it's completely passive. There's nothing there. You as a viewer, you can fall asleep during it and it doesn't change anything, but in a video game, you have to play the game. So there's some very obvious reasons why this anime should not exist. Again, the quality is not a concern. It could be a great TV show and it doesn't make a difference. It will not be anything compared to what the games are. And the obvious reason for this is it's in direct conflict with the philosophy of what Devil May Cry is, which is it's an action game where you are encouraged to overcome daunting gameplay challenges while also making a personal statement through your gameplay choices. It's all about personal freedom and expression. And overcoming challenges, and there's absolutely none of that in a TV show. So if you're coming home from a hard day's work and maybe you just want some mindless escapism, that's just fine. But don't expect, even along those lines, to get a better product than what Capcom themselves produced in-house with, the live action motion capture then turned into animation. The stuff that they did with Devil May Cry 3, you've never seen cutscenes that look this good. And the entire characterization of Dante and his friends, you're not going to get anything anywhere near as impactful as what you've got in the game. So in a purely narrative work, the author is making the choice for you, and in a video game, you are the one that's making the choice. This is why translating a video game into a movie or a TV show, there may be exceptions to the rule, such as, the Super Mario movie turned out to be successful, but no real gamer thinks that that's a substitute for playing the games. In fact, for every success, there's also a failure. Go back and look at the original Super Mario movie in the 1990s. It was a critical and commercial failure. You had recently the Sonic movie. In fact, they've turned that into a franchise, but Sonic has a couple of colorful characters like Mr. Eggman and Tails, I think. But Sonic isn't really known for having too much personality, just kind of a goofy, the original Sonic games, same with Mario, there wasn't much personality. This is something they've kind of added over the years with different iterations. But again, watching the movie is nothing compared to playing the games, and it makes absolutely no sense for Devil May Cry to get this sort of treatment. The only possible explanation for it would be Capcom testing the waters, trying to maybe get some new people into the series, maybe trying to test the waters to see what kind of interest they can get from third-party people that probably don't even play the games. So it's not so much something made for the hardcore Devil May Cry fans, because those of us that are real fans, we would just play the games anyway. This is for the people on Twitter that are interested in Devil May Cry, but they never bothered to actually touch the game, so they have sort of a passing interest, which is weird, but they've never actually touched the games. It's kind of like the meme if you're in the Persona community of the Persona fans that don't actually play the games. They just think they understand what the story's about. And, I'm not trying to put those people down too much, but if you're going to be a fan of something, you need to be a fan of the actual true nature of it. Put your hands on the controller and play Devil May Cry. Don't say you're a fan because you saw what somebody on YouTube posted or someone on Twitter. You have to actually do this yourself. You see more and more of this kind of garbage. Look at the Minecraft movie that just came out. This is just in time for the Minecraft movie. Again, completely pointless Hollywood trying to cash in on the success of what used to be an indie product. And Hollywood is more and more losing their foothold to the YouTube space, to the internet space, the content creation, the individual content creation. There couldn't be anything more pointless than a Minecraft movie when Minecraft, again, this is something that's for the hands-on experience. You could never experience Minecraft through any other medium the same way you cannot experience Devil May Cry through an anime. It's a complete contradiction. It makes no sense. There's nothing that could ever be faithful to the source material because Dante, as I said recently in one of my other retrospectives on Devil May Cry 1, Dante is a character that you get to know through gameplay. The entire characterization of an action game hero in video game terms, you get to do this through the gameplay. And the amazing thing about these kind of games is they also have some amazing cutscenes. They have amazing cinematics because they're over-the-top action games, and they have over-the-top action choreography, which I highly doubt that you'll ever be able to replicate again through just an animation, because you had people like Ruben Langdon, who also voiced Dante in 3, 4, and 5. Him and some of the other voice actors were also the stunt choreographers on the game. So from almost every way you look at this, I'm not suggesting the anime is bad, that the people that worked on it didn't put a lot of effort into it, and maybe it's of some quality in and of itself, but it doesn't need to exist. It doesn't do anything to prop up the series in any way. I suppose at best it's probably harmless. It's probably not a threat of any kind, but this video again is more talking about why multimedia franchises don't work, with maybe only a few exceptions. I want to talk about how, you have stuff like Star Wars, which is I think the highest grossing media franchise ever. And the thing with Star Wars is Star Wars started out as a singular film, and it had so many ideas packed in. George Lucas was able to translate it to comic books, to merchandise, action figures, maybe some TV shows here and there. Disney's gone and done what they've done with it. And there's actually a couple of Star Wars video games which are very, very notable. There's so many Star Wars video games that are of high quality. So you can sometimes take the movie and turn it into a video game because you're expanding upon the ideas, because the movie is all about time constraints, which is also another unique thing about television. Television is, of course, a completely different form to a movie, which is why you can take certain movies and turn them into TV shows, and you can sometimes take a TV show and turn it into a movie, but some of the more notable ones in recent times have kind of been failures, like The Sopranos movie, which came mysteriously like decades after the show ended. Same with El Camino, and just didn't feel right. You can't take that kind of serialized narrative where it's sort of the story being told in real time compared to a movie where you have like a 2-hour time constraint. You go back to something like Star Wars. It had an abundance of ideas contained but also constrained by the medium of film with the imposition of the time limits. And then the video game, in theory, has infinite replay value because it's all about active participation. You get out what you put in, what you don't with a movie, because you can just sit there and watch it and the outcome is already predetermined. In the video game, you are the one that dictates everything, almost everything. So this is why, taking the video game and turning it into the TV show or the movie, even if you can adapt it in terms of its narrative, you can never get the true experience of the playable experience, and you cannot expect to condense the formula from something that's very, very, very fluid to something that's very, very static, and even vice versa. presents some challenges. You know, you look at The Last of Us. I don't like The Last of Us at all. Some people do like the TV show, but that's another example of how, even in that example, the games would be preferable to the TV show. I mean, perhaps The Witcher, I know The Witcher had good reviews for a few seasons. Again, compared to the video game or even the novelization, you're not getting anything close to reality with that. And it's always going to be challenging, again, to condense something from the TV show to the movie creates a challenge, which is why the Sopranos movie sucked, which is why El Camino wasn't very good, because you're only getting part of the picture. The TV show is about a very long journey. You could have 100 episodes and have 100 one-hour episodes, compared to a movie where you have to really shrink everything down, and there's certain strengths and weaknesses to that. When you look at video games, the art form of video games is they have really no weaknesses in terms of storytelling, and certainly not in terms of the immersion that you can get from a video game you cannot get in any other form. You know, people will sit down and put 1,000 hours into one game. People will put 1,000 hours into Minecraft, forgetting that real life exists. No one's getting that from the movie experience. No one is going to get the same pleasure watching the Devil May Cry anime as they will, you know, actually picking up the controller and fighting against Virgil or whoever it might be, trying to get those S ranks, trying to pull off those combos. So, again, the Devil May Cry anime, there may be some like hardcore fans of Devil May Cry that enjoy it, but it's really more designed to get people into the franchise that have never participated in it, but it makes really no sense. It's antithetical, completely antithetical to what the actual franchise is as a video game. If you want to be a Devil May Cry fan, simply play the games. You know, imagine a Ninja Gaiden anime. It would make no sense. There's just no logic behind it. It's just some sort of a marketing tool, which, again, counterintuitive marketing tool, just promote the games. I'm not mad at the anime. Rather than do an anime than, you know, try to do a cash grab remake, you know, remaking the games. But again, at the same time, it just seems to be completely pointless to me. So if you like the anime, if you're watching the anime, more power to you. But I think it's important to point out that multimedia franchises really don't work most of the time. There are exceptions, you know, commercially successful, like Star Wars, the main example, that is maybe the exception to the rule. But there's something deeper philosophically about trying to translate one medium to another. You know, taking a novel and turning it into a film is fine. It wouldn't make really a whole lot of sense to do that in reverse. There may be, again, some exceptions that I'm not considering, but usually you take a novel and then you take chunks of the novel and adapt it into a film, and even that isn't entirely faithful. So to take a video game, which is, you know, the peak form of art and entertainment that we've come into, like when it's done properly, there's nothing like a video game in terms of immersion, because it contains within it all of the other forms into one. It's perhaps the final form of entertainment. So to take Devil May Cry, such a pinnacle of what video games can be, to take Dante as a video game character, the quintessential video game character, a character that really can only exist in a video game, to try to take him, turn him into an anime character, just makes no sense at all. So I just want to remind people of the quality of the games themselves, and that we should not be trying to dilute video games and turn them into something that they're not, especially not Devil May Cry, which is a video game if there ever was one. So just remember that. And hopefully this made some sense to you and gets you thinking about this kind of philosophy a little bit more. This is the philosophy of storytelling across all mediums, visual storytelling across all mediums, and just in general. That's what I wanted to say. That Devil May Cry is a video game, and it's nothing more, but it's also nothing less than a video game. This is the Commissioner of Games. Good night, God bless, and good games, goodbye. Hopefully this made some sense to you. Thank you.
Oops.